Here is Tim Pool. Yesterday I covered Ben Shapiro trying desperately to angle himself and prime his audience, his base of support, into developing opinions on the healthcare shooting that are, still defending the interests of CEOs and healthcare healthcare profits by claiming that it's just the left that's going crazy over this assassination. And it turns out it's not just the left that's going crazy over this assassination. This is like a relatively interesting cultural touch point that has spanned across multiple different ideologies, multiple different backgrounds, age groups, seemingly. People of all different ages are demonstrating bipartisanship in these trying times. These trying times when America's far too divided. It seems like they are very united on this issue. But obviously this is not great for conservatives who want to still, no matter what you do, not get mad at rich people. You have to get mad at others for marginal, not major differences, like just tiny, minuscule, marginal, immaterial differences. Please, no matter what you do, do not recognize who the real enemies are. Do not recognize that, like, yeah, these guys might not be good guys. My job revolves around making sure you don't understand who the real enemies are. And Tim Pool is doing that as well. Let's take a look.
This is from Mediaite. Taylor Lorenz defends her celebration of Brian Thompson's murder, saying it's natural.
It's natural if you're a demon.
Let me read this. This is
Sorry.
These people are mind-blowingly evil and stupid. Former New York Times and Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz defended her celebration of the assassination of Brian Thompson. On Wednesday, in the hours immediately following Thompson being shot, Lorenz expressed her dismay with health industry, saying, and people wonder why we want these executives, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to read her full statement. She went on to share celebratory graphics that she said were being spammed in her group chats. It's a picture of a star smiling, and it says CEO.
I love when the free speech guys are like, we should find who those group chatters are and kill them. Tim, have you talked with your fans about this today? Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy because, like, Tim will... this story has more coverage than my health insurance. This is the same woman that literally cried on a news interview, people calling her meme words on the internet. A rich elite larping is one of the downtrodden. Spare me. Okay, so Tim Pool's audience is still stupid, it seems. Don't replace the culture war with class war... by Alice Thompson. Bro, please don't worry about why you pay more in taxes than billionaires. Worry about the war on Christmas and the trans agenda. Please, bro. Stay distracted, bro. It's true. That is exactly what it is. And these guys are tasked with this. This is their job. This is their purpose. This is what they do best. Also, a hit tweet from a moot on Twitter, Tokyo Dilf, with 131,000 likes on this thing. Ben Shapiro and many others are desperately trying to recenter your attention away from hating a healthcare CEO or even exhibiting any sort of animosity towards those in positions of power. And their purpose here is to say things are really great. Just hate on the appropriate vectors. Hate on the powerless. Hate on your neighbors. Please.
Down. And she's like, that's just what my group chat's sharing. What group chat are you in, dude? Anyway, unsurprisingly, her
like,
joy
your
over
group
the
chat cannot be
extinguishment of Thompson's
posting
life drew criticism.
dangerous memes like
After
this.
providing some examples of others dancing
We
on
will throw
Thompson's
you in
grave
jail.
while only mentioning one of her many enthusiastic posts, she addressed the backlash, saying, quote, naturally, the mainstream media began pearl clutching it in outrage after I posted a quote tweet about insurance companies no longer paying for certain anesthesia with the phrase, and people wonder why we want these executives, and then she goes on to mention not being alive anymore. Legacy media outlets, including Fox News, pounced and wrote a slew of articles about my calls for violence. Let me be super clear. My post uses a collective we and is saying explaining the public sentiment. It is not me personally saying I want these executives dead. And I'm not going to read her quote. I am explaining that thousands of Americans, myself included, are fed up with our barbaric healthcare system and the people at the top who rake in millions while inflicting pain, suffering, and the death on millions of innocent people. So basically, she said, oh, I can't believe that.
Oh, yeah, the image he's talking about is so funny because it's this. Did you guys see the Daily Mail coverage on this? It was really funny, where they like slow zoom onto the balloon. You are not ready for the... Oh, dude, come on, dude. It's got 1 million likes. I like how every news station that reports about it is trying to paint it as sad and no one's playing along. 172,000 likes. People are fed up with the cost of something we are required to have. 46,000 likes. I didn't realize this was daily news trying to make this sad. The music made this so much funnier. Bro, this ain't satire. They tried to truly make this like a sad affair. And it ended up being fucking hilarious, especially the slow zoom after it. We're going to run it again. We got to run it again. Look at this. Look at the zoom. The pause in the zoom. It's Kino. It's perfect. It's cinema. This dangerous message was left on the site of the shooting. Anyway, let's get back to Tim, who openly has talked about defending Daniel Penny, who killed a homeless man on a subway station. He choked him to death. Openly has shit on George Floyd, who was assassinated in broad daylight by Derek Chauvin, as multiple other officers looked on as he got choked and killed. So remember, these guys, it's not like they hate political violence. They love political violence. These are the very same people that defend Kyle Rittenhouse. They love political violence as long as it is directed at appropriate targets. Powerless people, helpless people, their ideological opponents. And we've talked about social murder before, but when it's someone who's got a lot of confirmed kills under his belt and they're profiting from it, and they are seen as like a legal citizen, because that kind of murder is processed and systematized, so it's normal and good, and it's done at the behest of the profit motive. When someone like that dies, they're like, whoa, 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 you can't do that.
They're mad at me. I wasn't saying I wanted it to happen. I'm saying I, as well as other people, want it to happen.
You're speaking for all of us.
Yeah, it's
not for me.
Thanks, Taylor. Definitely not for me.
Before we move on, there's one thing that I want to point out though.
I like that there's a skateboard back there, or a snowboard. It says step on Sneck and find out. Like right as these like big brolic alpha dog podcast hosts are talking about how dangerous and how scary it is that Taylor Lorenz is reporting on people celebrating the death of the CEO, you know, they're also like, yeah, we're going to do a civil war and we're going to fucking kill all of our neighbors, dude. Hell yeah, dude. I'm a big dog. That's what big dogs do. They're like, civil war now. And then like one CEO gets shot and everyone celebrates it. They're like, whoa, 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 not like that. I thought you were going to kill your neighbors. Not like actual people in power, dude. What are you fucking crazy?
The problems that people face with our healthcare system go way beyond insurance. There's no reason for you to need to have insurance just to go see.
Damn, this motherfucker saying you got to kill more people. That's fucked up. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that statement, sir. Please reconsider your position. Wow.
It's easy to point at the big company and say it's their fault, but it's not exclusively the big companies. The big government is in and of itself is directly responsible for a lot of the policies that doctors have to follow that make it necessary to have the big companies and stuff involved in everyday healthcare.
One of the problems I take with the far left,
it's the big government getting in the way of these health insurance companies, even though the health insurance companies are the ones who are writing the legislation. Yeah, that's what we got to do. More deregulation, actually. If they were truly private, it would be even better. They could have a 7% profit margin. That would be, $40 billion instead of a meager $33 billion like United Healthcare brought in. $33 billion in pure profit this past year. $33 billion.
Left is that they implement the government regulations that create the insurance companies' mechanisms.
Absolutely.
You're so right, dude. The left is always like, let's do more insurance. It's a famous leftist position. More private insurance, please.
The insurance companies, of course, have revolving door lobbyists who want to get jobs in the government and then get jobs at these companies. But they're
also leftists. Those are the socialists. Classic case of the socialist lobbyists at big pharma and insurance companies and the socialist CEOs. Except if they were actually socialists, you would be fucking excited at their murder. You would literally be like, oh, this is so sick. Let's kill more socialists, please. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
The angry left saying more government regulations, creating the system that they then complain about and then use to justify death.
To that point, back in the 90s, IBM had 0 lobbyists, and they were proud of that. They talked about it all the time. We don't have anyone in D.C. because they did have the opinion that we don't need to go to the government until the government came after them and said, we're going to sue you as a monopoly. Right. And then they're like,
wait, so lobbying is bad and the government forced the IBM's hand to do the bad thing, but somehow IBM is not bad? Also, they don't deserve to be busted as a trust? What the fuck is this guy saying? I don't even believe that the IBM did not have a single lobbyist until the 90s. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. What is this? What ideological framework are these guys operating on? Just like big government equals socialism? Everything that the neoliberal capitalist Western liberal democracy does is actually at the behest of socialism secretly.
I was looking at old videos from a few years ago about United Health and their issues, and people were referring to them as like an alternate government because of how big they become. I think that's really interesting. They have more money than JP Morgan. Like it's a huge thing.
That's true, but at the same time, I heard today that their margin is something like 2%. So granted, the dude made,
Which is why
It's 6, and that number, that 6% number, first of all, it shouldn't exist. And also, their profit margin is 6%. That happens to be $33 billion. So you could be like, oh, it's just like 2%. Their profit margin is like really slim. It should not exist. It is a mediator that does not need to exist at all. They provide nothing, and it actually ends up driving up costs and offering worse care overall.
they have AI cutting people
Yeah.
so they can make money.
you know, the guy that I guess that got killed made like $10 million a year, and it's an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
But because of the margin they work on, again, 2%, like that's spending a lot of money to make the money
that
they
big.
do.
And for CEOs of a company
Bro, these guys are so cucked. Oh my God. 6% is great for a company that makes nothing, money from thin air. Yes. The numbers that they're working with are massive. It's like, you're talking about a company that's overall generating like $500 billion fucking dollars. What do you mean? 6% profit after executive compensation and numerous other things that they endlessly spend money on is so, it's just so much money. They're trying to Trojan horse the info. Their audience is clearly hostile now, and they're trying to shift the narrative. I know that's what they've been trying to do for the past couple of days, and I think it's been unsuccessful. Yeah, it's the 4th largest company revenue in the United States of America, the wealthiest nation on earth.
that big with that much of
Yeah, by the way, ironic because that's profit after executive compensation, mergers and acquisitions, mass layoffs as well in order to remain profitable, I guess. There's also a shit ton of money baked into that, for example, for not only lawsuits, but also corporate lobbyists, which this guy seemingly doesn't like. But I guess the government forced their hand to be corporate lobbyists, stock buybacks, that too. And even then, 6% profit margin. It's crazy.
revenue, that's actually not $10 million is not that exorbitant, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare it to other companies of similar size.
I mean, you're never going to tell a leftist that's
Yeah, okay, dog. $10 million is not exorbitant in comparison to other healthcare CEOs. Yes, because this guy is only one part of the United Healthcare Group, okay? Yes, there are larger players here. But the notion that it's not that much is so crazy, dude. Holy shit.
broke. You're never going to
Right.
tell them that, and they're going to say,
Well, they
okay,
blame
yeah, you're
everybody
right.
else for their problems,
Exactly.
and this is completely unsurprising. I mean, Taylor Lorenz and her ilk are the same kind of people who basically wish death on people who didn't get vaccinated during COVID, and said that it's their fault that she's getting sick and she has to raw dog the air to this day.
Embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
You know, and it's funny that she's kind of getting the brunt of this story, but she is one of the most prominent individuals who has directly engaged in what I would call veiled terrorism.
Yeah.
I say veiled because she didn't literally say
Taylor Lorenz reporting on people's understandable resentment towards healthcare industry practices and also CEOs is veiled terrorism. Tim Pool gets paid by the Russian government to say Ukraine is the greatest enemy on earth, and has had people on his own broadcast so aggressively talked about killing political opposition. Tim Pool himself talked famously about killing people for treason until Sam Cedar had a conversation with him about how what constitutes for his pay-for-play scheme with Tenet Media was also akin to treason. So maybe he no longer has that pro-death penalty position. Tim Pool famously also had to delete certain parts of his coverage because his guests were getting too crazy about all the death threats they make on his broadcast. Oh yeah, this is the one I was thinking of here.
fair that I don't take the heat for what you said, Jesse, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm getting people attacking my character now for having had to take the show down because you made 2 allusions to killing people.
Okay.
I had to take the show down because you made 2 allusions within like the span of a couple minutes to murdering people.
Okay.
After I explicitly
Okay, he's braver than you, Tim. At least he doesn't have to hide his shame with a beanie, okay? He's like, F it, I'm balding, okay? I don't care. Just like you're too pussy to make the death threats yourself.
stated in the pre-show, do not make allusions to violence.
Why do you have to be like, hey, man, please? It's like me when Felix is showing up. I'm like, Felix, please don't say something that people are going to clip out of context and say I'm anti-Semitic for having you on. Oh.
Then went on to explain,
I pre-warn him. I'm like, sometimes you get too spicy with your jokes, Felix.
And that's who their base is. Their base, if you look at studies of white liberals, it's something like 2/3 of them have been diagnosed with a mental illness compared.
What? What study, dude? What? Maybe there is one. I don't know. If you look at white liberals, they're all mentally ill. Not us. We're very sane and very normal. Okay.
That's white liberals compared to white conservatives. It's something like 20 to 25%. So they literally are speaking to a collective group of mentally ill people who would be more predisposed to engaging in this kind of behavior.
Yep.
And they're hopped up on SSRIs, all types of good stuff.
So yeah, one of the things that really irks me about a lot of these people, well, the left in general, the organizers, the activists, the people I've met, they are not stupid people.
No.
They know how finance works. They know how much money it takes to run a business. They're intelligent. They're nihilistic. During Occupy Wall Street, they explained it outright to me. They understand everything that's going on. They just don't think anything matters. So why should they care about you or your life? This is like the Hillary Clinton mentality. I'm smart, you're dumb. I should just make you do things for me. And so it results in really stupid people not knowing how money works. And they say things like, the CEO of this major, this Fortune 500 company got paid $12 million last year, and the workers are only getting 15 bucks an hour. And then I'm like, all right, let's stop. How many employees does that company have? And they'll be like, I don't know, 40,000. All right, let's divide 12 million by 40,000. How much money do you want to give to the employees? Now, I'm not saying it's good if CEOs are.
That's how it works, man. Thank you, Tim. It's the liberals on the left that are stupid and don't understand how to run a business. Unlike me, if the company has any sort of financial problems, just get $1 million a week from, I don't know, a foreign adversary currently invading another country to cut out some of the silliest propaganda of all time. I don't understand. It's super simple. Seek Russian investment.
Well, but think about what that is, right? The people who want communist utopia are not saying they want a communist utopia. They're saying, I don't want to do any work and I want to be able to live and just chill.
Yeah.
That's really what they're saying. So we had a meeting today with Ian and a couple of video producers, and we're talking about like, how do we...
Dude, why? What? God, I love hearing right-wingers talk about what, like, they assume leftists want. Yeah, people who are on the left just want to do, I guess, what CEOs do by definition, don't work a lot and just print money. What do you think CEOs do, man? You think he's in the lab cooking up new ways of doing healthcare? No. He's going to the lab to be like, here, let's use some AI. Let's use some AI to streamline these denials. 90% false claim disapprovals, by the way. 90%. It's great.
How do we make movies and shows, and like, what are the cultural moves we need to make? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, these guys are motivated and want to get stuff done. You don't need communism if you're a person who just wants to do work, if you have drive and ambition, because the money comes with the ambition that you have. And it may be, maybe you're a working class guy and you're struggling to get by and it's tough. But your motivation is, I got a family and I'm gonna feed my family. I'm gonna work as hard as I have to do it. You don't need communism. You are gonna do what you have to do. The communists are the people who are like, but I don't want to wake up.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, you literally do the same thing I do. You have a podcast mic profession, okay? That all we do is sit on our asses and chirp for a little bit. I do it for a lot longer than he does too. I do it for 8 to 10 hours a day. He does it like what, 1 hour, a couple hours a week with his buddies. What are we talking about? Oh, communists just want to sit on their asses and not work. First of all, the entire principle behind socialism is specifically to, claw back more autonomy from your labor. Like, what are we talking about? The notion that the entire political movement that is designed around ownership over your own work, designed around labor in general, both historically and still in contemporary society, designed around labor is actually about not working at all. They just want more meaningful pay from the work that they're putting in. They want to have a say in the process. Oh my God. Red Scare propaganda is so effective in this country. It's so goddamn effective that you have a century worth of material, art, propaganda, agitated propaganda that exclusively centers itself around work. You have so much academic research and literature dedicated specifically to improving the relations that workers have with the means of production. And all of that is nothing in the mind of dumbass Americans who are just like, yeah, socialism was when you don't want to work no more. Communism is when the government makes you work hard. and that's bad. But also simultaneously, communists don't want to work at all. But then the government comes in and makes you work by force, as opposed to capitalism where that doesn't happen. Yeah, the symbol is literally tools, but it doesn't matter.
Like, not for nothing, but like I was doing exactly what I do here on Twitter for like 12 years, 13 years before I came and joined.
What do you do, my man? What do the elevated self-importance of these fucking idiots is also always fascinating to watch. Bro, you don't do shit. I mean, at least I recognize I don't do shit. These guys, on the other hand, they literally are just like, this is what I've been doing for 12 years. I've been posting on Twitter for 12 years. It's like, oh, sick, man. Such useful labor.
Join the crew here, doing exactly the same thing. And even if I wasn't here, you know, every night of the week, I would still be doing this on Twitter because that's what I did before. You know, it's just this is recreation to me.
And their idea of getting paid not to work would actually make their mental health issues worse. I mean, I think there's inherent value in work and toil and in being productive. And the idea that you would sit around all day doing literally nothing, like the idea that that would give more purpose to your life or make you better off is so backwards.
That's why isolation was so destructive during lockdowns.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. But this is the crazy thing, that for whatever reason, the liberal worldview is work equals bad.
Right.
And I'm like, work is life.
He's like, work sets you free. Everybody knows that. Even in the traditional German. Work equals life. It's the best, which is why this thing that comprises most of your adult life should be awful, grueling. You shouldn't see any of the benefits of the work that you put in. The CEO, on the other hand, he should receive all the benefits. And more importantly than the CEO, you know who should receive all the benefits? People that simply had more money than you did at a time, so they could have ownership over your work. The shareholders. That's who gets to see your profits, your surplus labor value extracted from you. People who have never touched the factory floor or the assembly line. People who you will never meet. This is a wonderful and fantastic structure. I like it a lot. It's really beneficial.
And it's weird that we develop this culture where they're like, whoa, man, your work is your life. What's wrong with you, dude? And I'm like, a guy 300 years ago who grew up with his dad, who was a blacksmith, was not upset that someone came to him and said, I need a new sword. And he was like, I know how to make them. Check it out. And then makes it. And they're like, this is the finest sword I've ever seen. It's like, thank you, sir. It made you feel good, made you feel a part of society. You were useful. And for some reason, over the past several decades, we've developed this like drugged out hippie mentality of like, life should be just like laying around.
He is describing alienation. 300 years ago, when someone was a tool maker, they directly touched the tool, and the tool maker had ownership over its own tools to make other tools. It seems that the productive forces got a little too good. And it made it so that the blacksmith can no longer even own his own tools or even the tools that he makes. Yeah, he's great. He's talking alienation.